Yeah, the Trailblazers are in action tonight. They're back home after a 1-4 road trip. They host the Suns, who have won 5 of their last 6. Drew Holiday is listed as doubtful. Tonight's game's on NBC, and it tips off from Moda Center at a different time. It's an 8 o'clock tip tonight, so make a little note. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. I've got a pair of tickets for tomorrow's game against the Bulls. Listen to me today at 5 for your chance to win. Sean Highkin will join me at 5:20. Elsewhere, Giannis out 1 to 2 weeks with a strain groin. The Oregon Ducks continue their march to the college football playoff. Saturday, they'll host the USC Trojans. Kickoff at 12:30. The Ducks favored by 10.5. From the NFL, Mike Tomlin says Aaron Rodgers won't need surgery. Status to be determined. Steelers at the Bears Sunday. Chicago favored by 3. If Rodgers can't go, Mason Rudolph will get the start. The Rip City Drive with Chad Doing is coming up next. Alex Brink is going to join me at 4:20.
Live from the Coors Light Studios, it's time for the Rip City Drive, hosted by the crazy and often irrational Chad Doing. Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment. Choose chill.
Snap to Prescott, back, steps up in the pocket, deep to the middle, caught by Pickens and circles left and runs away 20, 15, 10, cuts right, touchdown. The Raiders just quit running after him. Prescott is under center, stamps his left foot, receiver in motion to the left. Prescott play action, left side of the end zone, right on the money to Ryan Flanoy. Touchdown, Cowboys.
What would you say the main reasons are this team is underachieved?
According to who?
Well, when you're preseason number 1, I think most people would agree 3 losses is not achieving what you are capable of.
I mean, I guess that's into who voted us number 1, okay? What I think is that this team has competed their tail off, and we have an opportunity at the end of the regular season to do something that nobody's done since 2019, and that's beat 3 top 10 ranked teams in the regular season. The last team to do that was LSU with Joe Burrow. So have we been faced with a pretty difficult schedule? Have we been faced with high expectations? Sure, but that's why we came here, so we'll be okay.
Strap in. The Rip City Drive with Chad Doing starts now.
All right, we got a new text line. 88528 is the text number. So go ahead and save that on your phone, 88528, and you can hit me up directly during the show. 88528 is the Rip City radio text number, so hit me up. I want to know your thoughts, and I'm looking forward to this show today. And tonight, if you're coming down to the Blazer game, a couple of things I want to remind you of. It's an NBC nationally televised game tonight, which means it's an 8 o'clock tip-off. It's the first of 6 games that the Blazers will have with an 8 o'clock tip throughout the course of the regular season. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But tonight's game will tip off at 8, which means an even later night for me and the rest of the crew down here at Moda Center. But I'm looking forward to it. The Blazers finally back home after a 1-4 road trip that ended in frustration with an air ball and no missed shots in overtime for the Dallas Mavericks. But tonight a chance to get right against the Suns, who have been playing really good basketball. And then tomorrow, one thing to remember for the Chicago Bulls game, that game will tip tomorrow at 7 o'clock here at Moda. But we've got our toy drive going on, the K103 Under the Tree Toy Drive, which is actually a pretty cool deal where all the toys that are donated are going to Randall's Children's Hospital so they can give them to kids who are going to be stuck in the hospital for Christmas time. That sucks for the kids, and we have a chance to brighten their day and their lives by providing toys. So tomorrow we roll on down to Moda Center for the Bulls game, bring a new unopened toy, and we're going to have a Rip City crew out there collecting toys as you're lined up to get into the arena. So it's not going to be any work for you. All you have to do is pick up a toy, bring it with you, and we will collect it as you go into Moda Center tomorrow night for the Chicago Bulls game, and you can help put a smile on the face of one of the youngsters who's going to be stuck at Randall's during the course of the Christmas holidays. So please bring some toys tomorrow. And you don't have to spend a lot of scratch. Any type of toy, small, big, or whatever you want to get, will work out just fine, and the kids are going to be happy. So we're excited about the K103 Under the Tree Toy Drive. Now, if you're not coming to the game tomorrow, don't worry about that. It's ongoing right now. You can stop by one of 21 different Jamba Juice locations. They've got bins there to collect the toys, and when you do that, they'll give you 10% off of your beverage. For me, I go apples and greens, but you can get whatever you want. They'll give you 10% off. Just go to RipCityRadio.com, go to our calendar page, and you can get the different locations in Portland, Salem, and Vancouver where you can drop off your toys. So that's going up tomorrow. Bring your toy down, get in line, and we'll collect it from you with our crew before you go into the arena for the Bulls and the Trailblazers. Alex Brink, former Coug, now with E4 Sports, our college football and NFL insider, is going to join us coming up at 4:20. And then our Trailblazer insider, Sean Highkin, is going to stop by at 5:20. And Chris Burkhart will join me before the end of the program with some thoughts on the game tonight. And, of course, he's got game day, which will kick off at 6 o'clock. So reach out to me. Hit me up on the text line, 88528. Any questions, any comments, anything that you want, just fire away. Like this one right here from the 503. You suck. That's what I'm talking about. And the 971, testing. Yes, it works. So fire away, 88528. And look, I don't deny that I suck. I do. But I'm happy to be with you, and I got a lot of different things I want to talk about. Now, I want to play a quote from you. It's one of my favorite quotes all time from an NFL head coach. I'm a big fan of Mike Tomlin. He is a no-nonsense type of a coach. He has brought a lot of toughness to the organization. I've been a fan of the Steelers organization and the way they operate for decades. In my lifetime, and keep in mind I'm now 50 years old, the Steelers in my lifetime have had 3 head coaches. That's it. So in a day and age where guys get fired all the time, and you have crappy franchises like the Jets that usher in a new coach every other year, you've got the Steelers. In my lifetime, Chuck Noll, that was one. And then who was the other? Bill Cowher, followed by Mike Tomlin. 3 head coaches in my lifetime. That is a model of consistency and stability right there. It's pretty amazing. But Mike Tomlin's a pretty cool dude. Now, as you know, this past weekend we had a nice little AFC North battle between the Bengals and the Steelers in Pittsburgh, and there was a little fight that went down. And in the fight, it appeared that Jamar Chase did some spitting, which is very unfortunate. Very unfortunate for Jamar Chase, a receiver who's one of the best in the NFL and a great player. But I think we all know that you cannot, under any circumstances, spit on a player. You can't do it. Like, that's crossing the line. You can talk trash. You can get down and dirty. You can even punch him in the balls, but you cannot spit on another human being. It's vile. You can't do it. And he did that, and it's unacceptable. But I do like the back and forth and the fact that Jamar Chase denied everything after the game. And we're going to hear from Jamar Chase here in just a moment. But spitting is, it's ridiculous. You can't do it. And Jalen Ramsey was the recipient of Jamar Chase. And let's go ahead and take a listen to Jamar Chase. This is after the game on Sunday. In plain denial of everything, let's take a listen to this.
Walk us through what happened with Jalen.
Exchanging words.
He was saying that you spit on him. Did you spit on him?
I ain't never opened my mouth to that guy.
What do you think prompted the reaction from him?
Well, he don't like some of the words I told him. We've been going back and forth the whole time, so I'm sure some got under his skin.
It was building the whole game. It just wasn't on that drive.
The first time we had a altercation, and then it was the second time.
Is that the first time in your career anybody's ever punched you in a game?
You see me get punched?
Looked like you threw a punch.
Oh.
So, just to be clear, you did not spit on him at all. That's what you're saying.
I ain't spit on nobody.
How frustrating, you talk about the game, how frustrating is this loss given what y'all wanted, what y'all want to do in the North?
All right, there you go. That's Jamar Chase denying that he spit on Jalen Ramsey. Now, the video clearly shows that he probably spit on Jalen Ramsey. That's a problem. And, by the way, the NFL has suspended him for a game for the spitting incident. But now we get to Mike Tomlin. And this is just an all-time quote right here from Coach Tomlin, who is a no-nonsense type of guy. Listen to this exchange. And, of course, the reporter's like,
how do you get Jalen Ramsey to be a little bit more under control in those situations? Take a listen to this. Mike Ramsey plays with an edge, and he has his whole career. When something like that happens on Sunday, because the play before they had to be separated, was your message to him to try to simply remove himself from that stuff? And how do you, as a competitor, how do you sort of keep him from sort of,
I have no message if someone spits in your face. Do what comes natural.
Man, that's an all-timer right there. I have no message for someone who spits in your face. Pause. Do what comes natural. In other words, if you feel like you need to kick somebody's ass because they spit in your face, feel free. I'm not going to get in your way. You got to handle business at that point. And that's really what it comes down to, right? I could care less, or excuse me, I couldn't care less what somebody says about me. Say whatever you want. I came from the era of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I don't care. Whatever. Say whatever you want. But when you spit on somebody, that is crossing a line. And Mike Tomlin's like, hey, do what comes natural. Incredible.
Mike Ramsey plays with an edge, and he has his whole career. When something like that happens on Sunday, because the play before they had to be separated, was your message to him to try to simply remove himself from that stuff? And how do you, as a competitor, how do you sort of keep him from sort of,
I have no message if someone spits in your face. Do what comes natural.
That's awesome. That is a head coach right there that's got his players back. He's like, look, man, it's ridiculous. I have no message for someone who spits in your face. Do what comes natural. And there you go. And that's a situation that Jamar Chase probably wants back. He tried to deny it. He got suspended a game. You can't spit on somebody. It's gross. It's disrespectful. It's disgusting. And there's no place for that in the game. Now, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen from time to time. And I do like some of the sideshow antics that come from that type of situation. But you can't spit on somebody. That's hideous, right? Horrible. Gross, man. What are you doing, Jamar? But I love those two guys going back and forth because that is a big-time battle right there. And, of course, the Bengals still stink to high heaven. They're awful. And they got their butt kicked in that football game because Joe Flacco was turning it over, and the Bengals are the Bengals. And when they had an opportunity to cash in and get points, they couldn't get it done. So there you have it. Don't spit on people. It's a very basic lesson. Like, there were certain things, like, when I was younger, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, where my dad made it very clear, like, you do not do this, this, or that. And so if I wanted to really tick off my dad, disrespect my mom, that was a no-no. That was guaranteed punishment. Don't talk back to your mom. Don't disrespect your mom. Don't raise your voice on your mom. That is all an absolute hard no. And if you do, you're going to pay a price. And I did. Also, spitting. We don't spit. And then my dad was real big on tattling, too. It's like, what are you doing? Don't complain. Don't whine. Don't be a little girl. And then that was a pretty simple message back then. All right, let's keep things rolling. Alex Brink, we're going to talk to him about WSU, who's on the verge of going to a bowl game, which is pretty impressive based on what they've been through. Got to talk to him about Bo Nix outdoing Patrick Mahomes. Good thing is we won't talk about the Raiders. And, hey, Raider fans, no disrespect, but your team sucks. They were pathetic last night. They've been a joke throughout the entire season, and they continue to be a crap franchise playing in a beautiful stadium. The Raiders are garbage, and I'm here for it. What a piece of crap they are. Horrible performance last night. And the Broncos right now sitting atop the NFL at 9-2 going into a bye week. I can't think of a better way to go in a bye week. 8 straight wins, beat the Chiefs, and as of right now, they are the number 1 seed in the NFL. That does not suck. Alex Brink is coming up next. You got the Rip City Drive Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. We got a pair of tickets for tomorrow night's game against the Bulls. We'll give those away at 5. All right, our college football and NFL insiders, former Washington State Cougar Alex Brink is now with E4 Sports, and he joins us right now. Alex, first off, congratulations on the win, 28-3 over Louisiana Tech. The Cougs now 5-5 and a great chance to get to a bowl game. What would a bowl game mean for the Cougs program this year with everything they've been through?
Yeah, I think it would be vital, right, for Jimmy Rogers in year one to get a chance to go to a bowl game. And, you get extra practices, you get all the things that are associated with that, particularly now with transfer portal and everything that comes with, that early window in January. You get really like 6 weeks, right, to be with your team and be with those players to help with retention, spend time with them in the building, like obviously practice and all that. So I think that's important. And just think about what Washington State's been through to have a new coach, 75 new players, to get to 6 wins, even 7 wins in a season like this, I think would be a real tip of the cap to Jimmy Rogers.
Yeah, he's done a heck of a job. I know you like the hire, but I think he's exceeded my expectations. I just like the way he's gotten those guys to play hard each and every weekend.
Right, and look at I think the biggest change is on defense. I mean, it's a really, really good football team. I mean, giving up an average of less than 10 points in the last 5 games they've played, right? Some really good performances on the road against ranked Ole Miss, ranked Virginia. We'll see how it goes versus James Madison this week, but maybe another great performance on that could all bode really well. I just think, Washington State needed some stability after Jake Dickert left. They needed somebody that's, done it. You think about Jimmy Rogers and that staff coming from South Dakota State, they've had to do more with less for a long time. And I think that really fits well for Washington State, where he can get players into his system, get them to play hard, build a culture, and buy in. I really think Washington State's only getting better from here under Jimmy Rogers.
I wanted to ask you about the USC-Oregon game this weekend. The Ducks are a 10.5-point favorite, and I would expect them to win, but I got to be honest with you, I'm really impressed with what Lincoln Riley has done this year. He's gotten Jordan Mailata to play good football, but they've gotten back to being more physical at the line of scrimmage and getting that run balance back into the offense. What are your thoughts on the way USC has played this year, and what do you think about that matchup Saturday?
Well, I totally agree in regards to Lincoln Riley. I mean, I think there's something different about that offense and really like the team kind of mentality all around, right? It seems like a group that plays really hard, is really committed. And, with Mailata, you wonder if along the way of the development with Caleb Williams and some of these things that Lincoln Riley got a little off track on who he wanted to be as an offensive play caller, right? And you see it now with Mailata, the consistency in the running game, there's balance, the creativity is still there. It's the offense that we've come to know under Lincoln Riley, where he makes it easy on the quarterback to some degree because of his, kind of his creativity and balance. So yeah, I've been impressed. I think, the matchup versus Oregon's a really good one. I think for Oregon, it's a dangerous game. Even though it's at home, USC can be explosive. The Ducks have shown enough kind of inconsistency along the way that I'd be really concerned if I was Dan Lanning, but as we all know with Lanning, he's kind of a master motivator, and I think his ability to get that Duck defense, particularly defensive line, playing hard and playing disciplined, I think that'll be the difference in the game.
Alex, I'm a big fan of Sam Levitt from West Linn, and he's done great work at Arizona State. He had to shut down the rest of his year because of a foot injury, and now he may be listening to potential offers from schools like Texas Tech or Miami to see what might be available in NIL dollars. And it doesn't mean he's going to leave, but, I guess with the way that the game is played now in college football, if you're a big-time quarterback and you've got a chance to potentially make, life-changing money before you're done with college, I just feel like it would be malpractice not to at least take a look around the country and see what might be offered. How do you see that through a quarterback's eyes now in today's game?
Sure. I think, and me, we've talked about this a lot. I'm a big fan of the player movement era. I believe players, should get paid in some capacity. What I think the issue that I have in all of this, and Sam just happens to be a part of it, is that, with no guardrails, right, by the NCAA or whoever the powers that be are, you create this kind of yearly free agency, which I think in the end does a disservice to not only the teams, but also the players and the market in general, because the expectations don't really align with maybe what should be expected of a player. And so I think, to your point about it would be malpractice to not look if you're on the open market, why not, right? But again, it's like, how do you stay focused on, the ultimate goal of, competing and winning championships or being the best player possible if you're always worried about chasing the next dollar, right? And that's why I think the NFL, obviously, because it's a professional league, has it right. When you create minimum contracts and you have salary caps and you have, free agency and all these things, the players know what they're playing for and how to get there. Right now, I don't know that anybody knows what they're playing for, how to get there, and what the number really should be. And so, that's always my concern in this, is that in the end, it may actually do a disservice to the player, no matter what the dollar figure is that comes in. I hope for Sam's sake, and obviously anybody in that scenario, that they land in a fantastic situation and to get the money that they deserve. But I do think systematically, this has to get figured out sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm with you on that 100%. Now, when it comes to recruiting quarterbacks now, if you're at one of the less affluent schools, like Arizona State's got money and they've got good resources, but not at the level of a Miami or a Texas Tech or these other schools that can spend big-time cash, how do you recruit quarterbacks knowing that in a year or two, if your guy hits and becomes a big-time player, he might jump and take a bigger offer elsewhere?
Well, I'm probably in the minority in this camp, but candidly, I don't think it matters, right? Like I'm living this as as the analyst for Washington State and having watched it play out, right? Washington State was one of the first teams to offer NIL dollars to a quarterback to come to their program in Cam Ward, right? That was one of the first, kind of major NIL deals outside of Nico Iamaleava. And so like that, I saw that. And then Cam goes on to Miami and he's the number 1 overall draft pick, Heisman Trophy winner. That's great. Well, guess what? Washington State backfilled with John Mateer, who was a 3-star prospect, super under-recruited out of Little Elm, Texas, and went on and was wildly successful in 1 year with the Cougs, and boom, he went to Oklahoma, and he's just having a fantastic year now. And I think, Washington State, as an example, or any other program, can keep doing that to some degree. Sure, you may not find the Cam Wards, but there's a lot of really good football players and a lot of really good quarterbacks out there right now, both on high school rosters and on college rosters, and you can win with them. I mean, look at Arizona State, right? They're winning with Sam Levitt, and they're winning with Jeff Sims. So you can do it, but the coaches have to understand that and have to coach guys well and have the right system. So personally, I think you go out and recruit the best player you can find. You develop them. If they leave, you pat them on the butt, say thanks for your service. We really appreciate you. You use that to go recruit the next guy. And you do it all over again, and I think you can have success that way.
Boy, you mentioned Jeff Sims. What about the work Kenny Dillingham has done? They haven't had Tyson for a few games. Levitt's been shut down. They've had a lot of injuries, and yet now steps in Jeff Sims. They've kind of retooled the offense with his running ability, and they've continued to win games and stay in the mix for potentially getting to the Big 12 title game.
Yeah, I think that's kind of my point, right, in regards to a guy like Kenny Dillingham. And this is not just with Jeff Sims and the injury, but, just in general with his idea around player movement and transfer portal, is Kenny Dillingham, I think, thinks he can win with anybody that he recruits and brings in, right? So in the portal and publicly, if people want to leave, he says, fine, like, good luck. This young man's a fantastic player in person, and then he'll go find somebody else because he believes in his system and his coaches and his development process. And I think that's what you're seeing with Jeff Sims is that, Sims had his flaws as a player at times over his career, and he found a home at Arizona State as a backup. And then as he gets his opportunity, Kenny Dillingham knows how to call plays along with Marcus Arroyo. They know how to, scheme things up in a way to players' strengths, and they still find success. And that's what I love. When I see college coaches like that, that's my favorite version of those type of guys, because they're not making excuses about not having one of the best players in the country in Sam Levitt. They're saying, look, we're going to coach the next man up, and we're going to make it work.
Yeah, I love that. We're talking with Alex Brink, our college football and NFL insider. What do you think about the fit for Franklin at Virginia Tech?
I think it's great. I mean, I think Virginia Tech is a sleeping giant, right? I think they have a lot of resources, a rich history. I think the ACC is not particularly great, so they could have a chance to really make some noise. I think Franklin is a top-tier college football coach that, the reality is, Penn State pulled the trigger probably because they felt like they had to from, pressure from boosters and donors, with Franklin just not being able to kind of win the quote-unquote big game. But that's all relative, right? We're talking about him beating, Oregon or him beating Ohio State. I mean, that I understand people get frustrated when they're in that situation, but, think about the success Franklin had going to the college football playoff and all the things. I think Penn State was early in that decision, and I think Virginia Tech's going to be the beneficiary of getting Franklin to their team.
You mentioned John Mateer. How about the work of Brent Venables and that crew and John Mateer? Oklahoma goes into Alabama, and they take them out, and they really kind of shake up the college football playoff race. They've got back-to-back road wins at Tennessee, at Alabama. They'll finish up at home against Missouri and LSU, but we're looking at a schedule here where they played Michigan, Auburn, Texas, South Carolina on the road, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama. They'll finish up with Mizzou and LSU, and they're sitting there with 2 losses. That's pretty impressive based on what people thought going into the year with what they faced schedule-wise.
Yeah, super impressive. I mean, and, look, I think there's a lot of credit to be given to Brent Venables. I think that defense obviously is a difference maker. Like, they're fantastic. John Mateer, again, the team's better, clearly, when John Mateer is playing quarterback, right? And I really think that, I think that their strength of schedule and the challenges they face is going to really have them battle-tested, going into this back part of the season and the playoff potentially. And so, been really impressed with what Oklahoma's done. And, again, I got to see John Mateer up close last year. So you watch him play, you love his toughness. And I think that kind of permeates throughout the entire team.
Yeah, he's fearless, and I do appreciate his toughness. I want to play this clip for you because my guess is you'll appreciate this. But as you know, Bengals Steelers this weekend, Jamar Chase and Jalen Ramsey got into it. And apparently, Jamar Chase spit on Jalen Ramsey, and he's been suspended a game by the NFL. But Mike Tomlin, listen to this exchange between Tomlin and a reporter when he was asked about, Jalen Ramsey maybe getting into some scuff-ups once in a while. Take a listen.
Mike Ramsey plays with an edge. He has his whole career. When something like that happens on Sunday, because the play before they had to be separated, was your message to him to try to simply remove himself from that stuff? And how do you, as a competitor, how do you sort of keep him from sort of,
I have no message if someone spits in your face. Do what comes natural.
Don't you love hearing that from the head coach? Do what comes natural, Alex.
Yeah, there's some things there's some things you just don't do, right, in football and in life. And I think that's a good example of one of those things. I think Mike Tomlin, clearly feels the same way.
All right, we saw at the end of that Lions-Eagles game on Sunday night just a horrific pass interference call that ended the game and ruined the Lions' potential chances to get the ball back. How would you like to see pass interference officiated in the NFL if it could somehow get better?
Oh, my goodness. That's like the hardest question. That's like the meaning of life question. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think every situation seems to feel different, right? Whether I think it's a good call or a bad call. I think more often than not, officials do get it right. But, there are moments, again, this is just like the football player in me, and the analyst is like, there's sometimes you watch it and you feel like they can make a judgment decision to let it go in the moment. You know what I mean? And oftentimes I think they're trying to kind of figure out if, somebody tugged on somebody else or, the hand fighting. But, yeah, I probably don't have a good answer for that, because I think if you got an official on the phone here, they'd be like, it's the hardest call to make in sports, So yeah, I have some empathy for that.
No, I understand. Well, I saved the best for last. I haven't had that much fun watching a Bronco game in a decade. The Broncos able to beat the Chiefs. Man, Alex, it was so awesome because Bo Nix had rightfully received a lot of criticism for his play the last couple of weeks against the Texans and Raiders. And so a lot of people thought that he just wouldn't be able to play at the level necessary to beat a team like Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes. And yet he went out there and he outdueled him. But most importantly, he was climbing the pocket, he was running on schedule, and he was accurate with his delivery of the football. and converted some critical third downs, including on that last drive that set up the game-winning field goal. I was just thrilled with the way he played. What was your takeaway?
Yeah, I think, it's a credit to Bo Nix, right? And a testament to, probably all the snaps he's taken over his career that, he probably evaluated the previous two games similar to other people and said, hey, I can get better in certain areas. And he made he made an adjustment, whether it was consciously or unconsciously, in that Chiefs game where it just felt like things he had been inconsistent at previously, he found some consistency in. And again, when you've played them as many snaps as Bo Nix has in college and professionally, right, you've done it before, so you can do it. Sometimes it's just that re-attention to detail maybe, or kind of that call out. And could have been, we don't know these things, but could have been the way the game was called also, and some of those specific things from a play calling standpoint that maybe got Bo Nix back into some comfortable situations. But you made a good point about third down, right? I felt like those third down throws and some of these third down plays brought him into rhythm. When you get a few of those, you start to really feel confident. It's hard when you go, if you go 3 and out, or you start a drive and you get a first down, and then you go out on downs. You don't get the continuity you need and kind of the confidence you need late in the game. And I think those things early in the game really helped him late in the game to be able to finish that thing off. And what a competitor he was to be able to figure it out and do it against the Chiefs.
How big time was that throw to Franklin that set up the game-winning field goal, that 30-yard completion where he threw it to a spot and put it on the opposite shoulder, and Franklin was able to adjust and make the catch like that? He was throwing that with anticipation. That looked like a pretty tough throw.
Yeah, tons of anticipation. I got to give a lot of credit to Franklin, too, who, I think has had his own challenges at times, to be able to make that play in that moment. I think is I think I give, Bo Nix deserves a ton of credit for making the throw and recognizing it and executing it. But, boy, how about Troy Franklin in a big moment when he's been a little bit maligned catching the football, finding a way to get it done.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Alex Brink, our college football and NFL insider, is with us. I want to ask you about E-Force and their strength and speed training. Alex, what do you got going on?
A lot of great things going on at E-Force, but, one of the things that's really close to my heart is what we do on our strength and speed training. Our E-Force performance staff, we've got all certified strength and conditioning coaches that work with athletes of all ages, male, female, any sport. We have 3 facilities in the area: Vancouver, Beaverton, and then kind of Milwaukee, McLaughlin on the east side there. We got classes running Monday through Saturday, and you can jump in, get a free drop-in session. You get an evaluation and then a custom program to help any athlete work on their speed, strength, quickness, power, injury prevention, help you on and off the field and court. So I encourage you, if you got a young athlete in your life, to check out eforcesports.com, click on the Strength and Speed tab, and then you can find a class and a location that works for you.
All right, so you're headed to – are you going back to Virginia this weekend?
Yeah, baby, James Madison, Harrisonburg.
Oh, dude, that seems like that would be a fun trip. I like some of the settings of these smaller schools, but that seems like that might be a good trip for you. You're getting a chance to see so many different spots with this new schedule for WSU this year. I love it.
Yeah, and I've heard great things about James Madison. Think about that program goes from FCS to FBS. You got Curt Cignetti, the former coach, is just dominated Indiana, and they're keeping it rolling, and sounds like the buy-in and kind of the atmosphere out there, although smaller, is really active and great fan base, so I'm excited to see it.
Well, dude, have a great trip, my friend. Thanks for the time. That was a great chat, and we'll catch up next week.
I really appreciate it. Take care.
You got it. There's Alex Brink. Gosh, I love him so much. That was awesome. I'm not going to lie. I'm still buzzing from that Bronco victory over the Chiefs. That was fabulous. Now, listen to this text message that came in. You can reach out, and you can connect with me via the text line, 88528. Fire away. I'm getting the messages right here, 88528. And here's one from the 503. Chad in Portland. I need some White Tone and The Godfather. I'm a longtime listener. All right. I'm going to give it to you next. White Tone, just the fact that he referenced that. Antonio Harvey, trailblazer, former trailblazer. I used to work with him in the mornings back in the day. And you're going to find out what White Tone is all about coming up next. Big thanks to Alex Brink. Sean Highkin, our Trailblazer Insider, will join me at 5:20. Chris Burkhart will stop by. I'm live here at Moda Center. I appreciate your time. And we got Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday coming up at 5. Listen to me for your chance to win. All right, you can reach out to me at 88528. 88528. That's the Rip City Radio text line. Reach out to me right now. I've got a message here from the 503. It says, Chad in Portland, I need some White Tone and Godfather, longtime listener. Well, my basic premise is ask and you shall receive. Antonio Harvey, former Trailblazer, used to work with them in the mornings on a different station here in town back in the day. This is roughly 15 years ago. And every once in a while, he would bust out with White Tone. And this is what White Tone sounds like.
Yeah, it's White Tone in the house. He's gonna hit you in your mouth. Watching TV on the couch? Hey, this is what I'm all about. Now, come on, LeBron. Don't be dumb. Are you mad at D. West for getting with your mom? Cleveland, my friend, is going to end badly. It's Delonte's with your mom. Are you calling him daddy? If you leave, I hope you know, the city's going to snub you. Don't be angry with your mom. She just needed love, too. She's single and ready. And LeBron James's mother, if it wasn't D. West, it was going to be another. She got what you needed. Come on, you should be happy. Your mom's my age. Maybe I could be your pappy. Call me in the show and dispel this rumor. Don't be mad at us, too. It's just MSP humor. Oh, yeah. White Tone. Rocking the mic. Giving you what you like. It's the MSP, baby.
It's so good. Antonio Harvey, if you need him. White Tone in the house. White Tone rocking the mic. And, of course, that's one of those moments where the Godfather just sat there in silence, shaking his head. I thought it was fabulous. Nice work and a great reference of White Tone. That's from 15 years ago.
That's classic.
Telephone
Chad.
number.
I can't say I've ever heard that before.
Well, that's what I'm here for, to provide you. So that was 15 years ago. How old are you now, Brendan?
29. So I was 14 when White Tone was recorded. So there you go.
Yeah, you were a zit-riddled dork when that went down with Antonio Harvey. So there you go, White Tone. But reach out to me on the text line, 88528, and I may do the ticket giveaway via the text line today. So make sure you get that number down and put it in your phone to reach out to me directly, 88528. You can text direct at 88528. I may do the tickets that we're going to give away coming up at 5 via the text line. So make sure you reach out, 88528, and put that in your phone. And it's a quick and easy way to be able to access me and share your feedback. And you can do so after the game with Chris Burkhart on the fifth quarter, 88528. So get it in there. Telephone number 503-248-0620. One quick note, I do know that Drew Holiday doesn't look like he's going to play tonight against the Suns. He's listed as doubtful. It's some type of strain, or it's nothing major. They're just taking it, being cautious, which I'm fine with, but that means that the Blazers, if he doesn't go, will have to play another game without a point guard tonight, which is unfortunate. That also means that my guess would be Jeremy Grant will start, and then the 5 guys who are in the starting lineup will have to carry the majority of the load. And bench points are going to be hard to come by. The Suns, playing good basketball early in the season, they won 5 of their last 6. So the Blazers play tonight, and then they're right back at it tomorrow against the Chicago Bulls. That game will tip off at 7. Now, if you're coming down to the game tomorrow, make sure you stop and pick up a new toy. It doesn't matter what the price of the toy is, and bring it with you. And as you're entering into the arena, we're going to have our iHeart crew with bags collecting the toys, and it's going to be part of the K103 Under the Tree Toy Drive. And the toys are going to go to Randall's Children's Hospital to benefit the kids who are going to be stuck in the hospital during Christmas time. Now, if you're not coming to the game, then you can go to the website, RipCityRadio.com, go to our calendar page, and there are 21 different Jamba Juice locations throughout Portland, Vancouver, and Salem where you can drop off toys, and it will once again be there to benefit Randall's Children's Hospital. Jeff Kemp just reached out to me direct. White Tone, I almost crashed. It is pretty good. White Tone, Antonio Harvey, former Trailblazer. I used to do a show with him and the Godfather Dwight James in the mornings.
Yeah, it's White Tone in the house. He's gonna hit you in your mouth. Watching TV on the couch? Hey, this is what I'm all about. Now, come on, LeBron. Don't be dumb. Are you mad at D. West for getting with your mom? Cleveland, my friend, is gonna end badly. It's Delonte's with your mom. Are you calling him daddy? If you leave, I hope you know, the city's gonna snub you. Don't be angry with your mom. She just needed love, too. She's single and ready, and LeBron James's mother, if it wasn't D. West, it was gonna be another. She got what you needed. Come on, you should be happy. Your mom's my age. Maybe I could be your pappy. Call me in the show and dispel this rumor. Don't be mad at us, too. It's just MSP humor. Oh, yeah. White Tone. Rocking the mic. Giving you what you like. It's the MSP, baby.
That's so good. Oh, speaking of Tone, remember that? What about the voicemail guy that used to leave messages? Sometimes he'd throw Tone under the bus, too. Let's see if I can find that guy. Oh, here he is. Take a listen to this. Pretty wild.
It is Wednesday, May 14th. As expected, the Blazers were blown right out of the AT&T Center by the Spurs. No big surprise to anybody. San Antonio is the greatly superior team, and they might just win a world championship. The Blazers didn't even try in this game. Missed free throw after missed free throw. Total lack of defense, typical of the Blazers. They just stand around and let the other team score. They don't get it. You can't win just with your offense. You have to make an effort to play defense, but it's a broken record. The Blazers won 54 games to their credit, a 21-game turnaround. They were awful last year, but they lost a number of games this year at home they shouldn't have. This team, if they don't start playing defense, they aren't going to go anywhere. And Brian Wheeler, you and Antonio Harvey, I listened to your post-game show, which I thought would never end. You talked way too long. All you have to do is sign off and say, we'll be back in October. Please, if you're going to be back in the broadcast booth, I don't know why, stop complaining about every little thing. You do it too much, and so does Antonio Harvey. The Blazers had a good year. They got through the first round with Houston. This is all to their credit. But if they don't start playing defense and don't start making free throws and cut down on the turnovers, they aren't going to get anywhere. I would think they would know that by now. Now, we expect good things of this team next year. They were okay this year. They can do a lot better. And we'll get our chance in October. But I'm asking you and Antonio Harvey, please act like professionals. That's what you're there for.
Now, that guy, he doesn't like Antonio Harvey, but do you think he would like White Tone? I don't know. He was almost out of breath. He was so irritated. You and Antonio Harvey. All right, when we come back, we're going to give away tickets. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. I've got a pair of tickets for the Chicago Bulls. Tomorrow night here at Motor Center, tip-off at 7. We're going to give those away next. Listen to me here on the Rip City Drive for your chance to win. All right, what's going on, my friends? It's now 5 o'clock. Trailblazers are in action tonight. They're back home after a 1-4 road trip. They're going to host the Phoenix Suns, who have won 5 of their last 6. Drew Holiday listed as doubtful. Tonight's game's on NBC. Special tip time for the NBC games. 8 o'clock tonight here at Moda Center. Chris Burkhart will have Blazer Game Day live starting at 6 o'clock. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. I've got a pair of tickets for tomorrow's game against the Chicago Bulls. Listen to me here at 5 for your chance to win. Sean Highkin going to stop by at 5:20. Elsewhere, Giannis is out 1 to 2 weeks with a strain growing. Oregon Ducks continue their march to the college football playoff Saturday. They host the USC Trojans. Kickoff at 12:30. And the Ducks right now favored by 10.5. You can watch it on CBS. From the NFL, Mike Tomlin says Aaron Rodgers won't need surgery. Status is to be determined. Steelers at the Bears Sunday. Chicago favored by 3. If Rodgers can't go, Mason Rudolph will get the start. All right, Rip City Drive live here from Moda Center. Sean Highkin's going to come by at 5:20. Chris Burkhart, my main man, is with me. What's up, brother?
Hey, how we doing?
It's so good to see you. It looks like Drew Holiday's not going to play tonight. Back-to-back games with no point guards, not ideal.
No, because we saw what it looked like in Dallas. It's not the cleanest of basketball games without a point guard in the backcourt.
All right, what I need you to do right now, I'm going to use the text line to give away the tickets for tomorrow's game, so you better get this number down, 88528. I'm going to ask you a question here in just a moment, but I want to give you a fair shot. You can text me direct at 88528, and I'm going to use the text line to give away the tickets, so get that number, save it in your phone. You can fire away with whatever comments or messages you have in the future. 88528, the Rip City Radio text line, 88528, so get that number, 88528, saved into your phone because I'm going to use that in just a moment to give away the tickets for Chicago. You got to be pretty excited about the Ducks game this weekend with the Trojans coming to town. I feel like this is that last real big hurdle to get through. You got to win out more than likely to be able to get to the playoffs. So they got 2 more games, USC and Washington. But, you know, the Trojans, as much as we like to make fun of them, playing really good football this year, and with the run balance is back in that offense under Lincoln Riley, and they're much better at the line of scrimmage. Like, it's got the potential to be a really good football game.
Yeah, it should absolutely be a great football game. The way USC's playing, they're as advertised, man. It feels like an old school USC Oregon matchup to me, where anything can happen. It's going to be a good football game, and yeah, you're absolutely right. You're going to need it. Playoff hopes are on the line for everyone. It just feels dirty that it's not a Pac-12 football game, but no, it's nice to see. What I just want to know is if Oregon wins this game, I can't wait for the narrative on Monday from all the SEC honks trying to tell you that they still don't have a quality win because USC's not in the top 25 anymore or whatever it is. But I'm excited, man. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah, no doubt. I have loved the college football season. It's been great. And if you look at the rankings right now, there are 6, 7, or 8 teams that you can point to and make a legitimate case for to win the national championship. It's wide open.
That's why this is it's a crucial year for any team to make that 12. Because even the teams you look at 1 and 2, and you look at Ohio State and you look at Indiana, like, they've both been really, really good, but I just don't know if either one of them is just leaps and bounds better than everyone else behind them. They can absolutely take a hit. Like, you can go back to Ohio State and demolishing Oregon in the Rose Bowl. Like, they were a buzzsaw going into that playoff. No one really thought that anyone was going to touch them. Right now, man, it is wide open. I think any of the 12 teams who get in could have a shot.
What time is the release? Is it today?
Should be today. Everything's off, The 8 o'clock tip-offs, releases, who knows when they are.
Gosh dang it. Oh, 7:30? No, it should be going right now then.
Oh,
7:30 Central Time. What time is that here, 5:30?
Yeah.
5:30 here. So 5:30 we got the new rankings that are going to be coming out, so we'll keep an eye on that. All right, Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. I'm going to keep this simple. And I'm trying to encourage you guys to save the text line number 88528. 88528. Here's one from the 971. I'm the biggest Chris Burkhardt fan. He's a local legend. I would love to meet him in person. I'm coming from Laramie, Wyoming to Portland.
I know exactly who that is, and he's full of it. I'm pretty sure his eyes are about as brown as you've ever seen.
Are you kidding me?
I know exactly who that is.
Oh, okay, so it's someone you know.
Oh yeah, it's one of those college football bums I play with. He plays as Wyoming, and he's been harassing me all day about how he's my biggest fan. And they printed out a picture of me that he's going to try to get autographed just to be ornery. Like they're having fun at my expense.
All right, here's another message from the 360. I don't think you suck, Chad. Been listening to you for over a decade. Show me your blazer. Your peanut butter and mayo friend from Vancouver. Look, if you eat peanut butter and mayo together, you're a sicko freak.
Oh, yeah, that's not one that I've tried. But I'm also an Islander who quite enjoys Spam, and a lot of people think that's a no-go, so I won't judge.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of canned meats, to be quite frank, but I'm not going to get in the way of someone who's from the island who wants to eat Spam. That's a local thing. You guys are into that, whatever.
It is a staple, man.
Do your daughters like it?
They do.
Oh, my gosh.
They all love it. My grandparents loved it, got me to love it. I love going to Hawaii and buying Spam musubi from 7-Eleven, man.
All right, 88528. That's the text line number here to Rip City Radio. And you're going to need that because I'm going to ask a simple question. First person with the correct answer is going to win a pair of tickets for tomorrow night's game against the Chicago Bulls. 88528. First person with the correct answer to 88528. Text it in. What is the name of my dog? First person correct answer, 88528. Name of my dog. 88528.
You know, I like that question because not only are you testing out the text line, you're making sure that a true listener wins those tickets. I like that.
That's right. Yeah, so if you know the name of my dog, first person correct answer to 88528 gets a pair of tickets for the Bulls and the Trailblazers. And we got one from the 503 listening from Salem. We like that. And don't forget, if you're coming to the game tomorrow, bring a toy, new toy, unopened. And we're going to collect it. The iHeart team's going to be out with bags as you're walking into the arena collecting the toys. It's going to benefit Randall Children's Hospital, the K103 Under the Tree Toy Drive. And these are for kids who are going to be stuck in the hospital during Christmas time. All right, let's scroll down now. We have our winner right here. Puppy Shots. Boom. It works.
I also like the text right before that, though.
Spam is highly underrated.
That's right.
That is disgusting.
Hey, let's just look at this, though. The engagement here, the text line's working, Chad.
It is. I told you.
I like that.
Great work. It didn't take long for Puppy Shots to fill my screen, but we got it right here. So congratulations to the 503. I'm going to get that number to Brendan, and he's going to get in touch with you to be able to get your tickets to you for tomorrow night's game. But these 8 o'clock tips, home back-to-back, 8 o'clock tip tonight, right into another game tomorrow night. That's going to be a good challenge for him.
I thought there was some rule against the 24 hours between tip-offs. Is this just by the wayside? It's not a thing anymore. The 8 o'clock tip-off here in Portland, it's kind of insane, man. I don't know about that.
I know. I'm not a big fan of it, but the hard part for the Blazers tonight, if Drew doesn't go, do you continue to start Jeremy Grant? Do you bring him off the bench and maybe start Chris Murray because you don't have any bench scoring right now? Or do you just stick with the 5 guys that played the majority of minutes in Dallas and try to scratch out a win?
I think you stick with the 5 guys, and quite frankly, if the win is important to you, you might just have to go to a tight rotation. Don't go to 9 or 10 and whatever you need. I mean, no disrespect, but Sidi Sissoko and Chris Murray and Ryan Rupert aren't getting you these victories right now, and they're struggling. And so you got to just go with the core that's working well and just ride them till the wheels fall off if you can.
All right, I want your reaction to this particular play we saw on Sunday.
Avdia walks it across with 8 seconds to play. Tie game at 118. Standing on the perimeter, he's defended by Marshall. Down to 3. Avdia down to 2. Step back 3 for the win is short, and we're going to go to overtime.
Not ideal for Denny.
Well, this is Damian Lillard syndrome, okay? The step back 3 is not a good shot. Paul George was not wrong when he said that was a bad shot. However, Damian Lillard is so darn good that he makes bad shots okay. That is not Denny Avdia's game. There's so much wrong with that. His entire game, Chad, is going downhill and getting to the rim. You could have forced them into a foul situation or at least got close to the basket. Wasn't a smart shot, wasn't the smart play. But the thing is, and I've been telling this to Blazer fans who have been knocking on my door about that play, is over the last few years, how many times has this team been in late game situations where they need those type of buckets or they need to lock it in for the last 2 minutes? Not a lot. And right now, outside of that Houston game, a lot of these games have come down to those final minutes of basketball games. And I think they're definitely in a situation where they're going to learn from these because they're not used to them. They don't know what to do. And you take away Drew Holiday, yeah, it makes it even harder.
I've never seen a team go perfect from the field in overtime before. Never seen that.
Well,
never seen it, Burkhart.
You have now. You have now.
Well, I think it will be good, too, for this group maybe to get some time together, too, to kind of tighten up some of the things. We've seen some slippage on defense. Part of that could be guys who are in and out of the lineup or whatever, but sometimes it's nice to get together as a group so you can tighten up some of the things that, go a little bit haywire throughout the course of the season when you're traveling around and busy playing a bunch of games.
Yeah, and you got to find that cohesiveness and that togetherness. And the defense definitely has to lock in, Chad. You go through that road trip, teams like Orlando, New Orleans, Dallas, who weren't very good offensively, far outpaced their average point per game against the Blazers defense that is highly touted. It's not as locked in as it was through the first 6 or 7 games. Part of that's got to be fatigue. Part of that's learning, those rotations with Thiago Splitter. And quite frankly, part of that is losing Matisse Thybulle, who is an absolute all-world defender, and Blake Wesley, who was no slouch on that end either. So there's a lot of variables here. I would just hope that they lock back in.
All right. You can reach out to us on the text line at 88528. You can also call at 503-248-0620. Don't forget, every Tuesday throughout the entire basketball season, we give away tickets to every single Trailblazers home game. And you listen to me for your chance to win. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday, courtesy of your Portland Trailblazers and me. Telephone number 503-248-0620. We'll come back, and when we do, Sean Highkin, our Trailblazer insider from Rose Garden Report, is going to join us, and we'll get his take on the road trip, on what to expect tonight, and how they manage this period of time without a true point guard on the floor. Don't forget, tonight's game tips off at 8. Tomorrow against Chicago at 7. And if you're coming to the game tomorrow, bring toys with you, new, unopened toys, and we'll collect them with our iHeart team as you're coming into the arena. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad doing on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, Chris and I are just sitting here busting Sean Highkin's chops, our Trailblazer insider from Rose Garden Report. Because when I ask him questions, I expect to know answers to every single thing, you know? But we were just wondering about Drew Holiday, and you'll ask the question tonight to Tiago Splitter on, you know, what the status is with Drew Holiday. Is it serious or is it not?
Yeah, we don't really know much about that. I would think that because he was a game-time decision the other night in Dallas, and then they ruled him out, and then they listed him as doubtful yesterday when they put out the initial injury report and just ruled him out like an hour or two ago for tonight. That would make me think if this was if they knew that this was a, you know, multi-day or multi-week thing, they would have just ruled him out yesterday before that. So I think until they tell us otherwise, I think we just kind of have to assume that it's just like a day-by-day thing. You know, he's going to see how he's feeling. And if I had to guess, I think especially if they win tonight, if they're able to get, you know, end this, you know, this little losing skid that they're on and pick up a win tonight against the Suns, then I would imagine that maybe they, just to be on the safe side, hold him out against Chicago tomorrow night, because after this little 2-game back-to-back at home that they have, then they go out on the road trip against Golden State, Oklahoma City, and Milwaukee, and that's going to be a pretty tough road trip. So if they can, I think it's probably more important to get him, you know, if it takes, you know, giving him these couple of days off here, that's probably a little bit more important, because then maybe there's a chance that they have him for some of those games against way tougher teams. All
right, so you had a chance to be on a portion of the road trip. What's your overall takeaway from the 1-4 trip from start to finish?
Well, you never want to come back from a road trip 1-4, especially when outside of the Houston game, all of the 4 games that they lost, they easily could have won. You know, we very easily could be sitting if a few things bounced differently. You know, whether, you know, that Miami one was kind of a track meet, that one went back and forth. Orlando won that game on a last-second shot by Desmond Bane, and then the Dallas game went into overtime, and the Blazers led for a lot of that game and had some opportunities to put it away, and they didn't. We very easily could be talking about a 4-1 road trip right now, with the Houston one being kind of the outlier where they were just completely outperformed on both ends of the floor in that game. So in that sense, you can look at it and say, okay, you know, they lost 4 out of the 5 games of the road trip. You don't want that, but they played well enough that they were in it in a lot of those games. But, you know, as far as like the mood of the team, I mean, I think after the, you know, after the Rockets game where they get blown out and then they kind of have that sort of mini players-only meeting. I don't want to fully call it a players-only meeting, because whenever you hear about a team having a players-only meeting, that's when you think, like, oh, are they going to fire the coach? Or, like, is this team completely fractured? I think it was just kind of like, okay, we haven't lost like that yet this year. We did. Let's just try to, you know, talk it out, make sure everybody kind of knows, you know, is kind of on the same page and see how guys see it. And then they came back, and even though they lost the game against Dallas a couple nights later, they played much better in that game. Yeah. Even though they didn't end up winning that game, and we saw, you know, the limitations of what they can look like at both ends of the floor without Drew Holiday. It wasn't like a team that, you know, they get blown out, they have a players-only meeting, and then they play the same way that they play as badly as they played against Houston, against Dallas. That didn't happen. So I think overall, obviously, you know, you would have liked to see them pick up a few more wins on that road trip, that some of those games that could have gone either way. But I think they still feel like they feel like, look, it's a long season, got some guys banged up, we've been in most of these games, this is a down stretch, it's going to be fine.
You know what's interesting about this little 2-game homestand? Phoenix unexpectedly has been playing good basketball early in the season.
Yeah.
And then you got Chicago, who just got the win last night in Denver.
Yeah, Chicago's come back down to earth a little bit. They had that, I think they started the season out 6-1, and they were kind of the early season surprise team. When, you know, most people kind of went into the season thinking, well, you know, the Bulls, they're going to win between 37 and 42 games every year and be the 9 seed and probably lose to Miami in the play-in. That's kind of the tradition. That's kind of how the Bulls have been the last 4 or 5 years. But, you know, they kind of started off as like this, you know, they had this hot start. They've kind of come back down to earth a little bit, but that's still a talented team. This is neither of these. I mean, you can't really say anything is an easy win for the Blazers right now, no matter who any team has or doesn't have available on the court. Like, we just found out that, you know, Giannis is probably going to be out when they play the Bucks. Wemby is going to be out when they play the Spurs the day before Thanksgiving next week, and I think the Spurs have a couple other guys out, Dylan Harper, Steph Castle. None of these games are going to be easy games for the Blazers. Really, the two, quote-unquote easy opponents that they had so far this season have been Utah early in the season, and they almost lost that game, and then New Orleans, who they did beat, but that one kind of took,
struggle.
Took a little bit longer to put them away than they did end up putting it away by the end, but it took longer. Dallas should have been a game like that when you look at, the way that they've struggled, this season, especially with like Anthony Davis and Kyrie still out. That Lakers game without LeBron, Luka, or Reeves that they lost, like that, they lose that one. So none of these are easy games, but these two especially, Phoenix, to your point, Chad, has, I don't think people really had high expectations for them coming into the season after they traded Kevin Durant, but you look at the way that Devin Booker is playing, he's back to kind of playing. He had kind of a down year last year, but he's back to playing at an all-NBA level. Like that's it, neither of these are going to be easy games.
All right. I'm not concerned about the team after a 1-4 road trip. Teams are going to have some issues or whatever, but right now, what would your guys' greatest concern be? And we'll start with Burkhardt. For me right now, it's just the immediate availability of guys game to game right now. Like Drew Holiday being out, it's kind of a difficult spot for this team because they don't have any true point guards, but what's your biggest worry right now over the short term for the Blazers?
Well, that is a very, very good question because there's two things that are worrying. There's offensive deficiencies, and then there's the fact that the defense is not playing as good as it was to start the year. And right now, I think the defense might just be a little more worrying. I think the offense is something that they know how this roster's built. They know that they're going to take some lumps on that end. We talk about Drew Holiday being out. I think you're absolutely seeing the value of Scoot Henderson despite the fact that he hasn't played a game because they're missing that guy who can run that half-court offense. Oh, wait, they need a shooter. They got one of the best on the bench in the NBA. He's just not playing this year. Those things will work themselves out. I think the defense is just a little more concerning for me because that has been what, over the last few years and this year going in, that's going to be the calling card. That's going to be the calling card. And through the first few games, right, Minnesota, LA, Golden State, someone from the opposing team post-game talked about, oh, man, the way they play their defense. You're not going to get easy wins against Portland anymore. Love the way they play. Love the energy. And suddenly that conversation is dissipated. You're not hearing that anymore. So the defense peaked a little early and has gone down, and I think that's more concerning to me than the offense.
What about for you, Sean?
Well, what Chris just said, you hear Tiago Splitter talked after the Dallas game that they lost about how he likes that he still thinks they're playing hard on defense, but he doesn't necessarily think they're playing smart on defense. They're fouling too much and they're committing kind of some unforced errors and. So there's that. I think the biggest concern though is the fact that they don't have a healthy point guard right now. They already were kind of down on that, and with obviously put Dame out of the equation because he's obviously out for the whole year, and he's been out for the whole year. Scoot hasn't played yet, but they were kind of getting through it with Blake Wesley getting those minutes, and he was a little bit limited offensively, but on defense, what he was doing, they were going to be able to get through the period with no Scoot. And then Blake Wesley breaks his foot, and he's out for the next several months. And then, in addition, he's not quite a point guard, obviously. That's not what he is, but Matisse Thybulle also going out around that same time. Now their backcourt depth is already so decimated, and then they lose Drew Holiday for at least the last game and the game tonight, and then we'll see beyond that. So you're basically, and then it just kind of creates this domino effect where because Drew's out, you don't have a point guard to plug into the starting lineup. You kind of move Denny to the de facto point guard spot, and then you put Jeremy Grant in the starting lineup, and then that now Jeremy was kind of the one guy you had coming off the bench that can score 20 points in a game. They don't really have any offense on the bench anymore, and so now you're hoping that maybe Caleb Love is going to come in and play more minutes than he's ready for. That's not a great solution, and then you've got. Maybe Duop Reith has his one game every 4 games where he hits a bunch of threes. But it's really just not having any point guards available and making Denny. And I know Denny does do a lot of initiation, a lot of ball handling, a lot of playmaking. He's not a point guard, though. You need an actual point guard.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Where are we at in the Scoot Henderson timeline?
This coming Friday is 8 weeks. So I would think at some point around then we're going to get an update of some kind from the team. And I will bet that the update from the team is going to be Scoot Henderson is progressing in his recovery from the hamstring tear, and he will be out. He will be reevaluated in, I don't know, let's say 2 to 3 weeks. Like I don't know what the next timeline is going to be, but it's the update on Friday is not going to be Scoot Henderson is cleared to play and he's going to be available to play in the next game, because he still to this day has not done, like, he's done some light, shooting. I've seen him like getting a few shots up, but that's the most he's really been able to do. He hasn't been doing any contact stuff, any scrimmaging, any real practice stuff or drills. And you don't want to, especially, with it being a soft tissue injury like a hamstring. You saw what happened with Jalen Green. Speaking of this Phoenix team that's playing here tonight, he came back from his injury and then he immediately re-injured it, and now he's out for several weeks. They want to be conservative with Scoot, so I think it's probably going to be at least another 3-4 weeks. This is not sourced intel. This is just kind of my own educated guess and my own opinion. I think it's probably going to be at least a few more weeks before we see Scoot back out on the court.
That probably sounds about right, doesn't it, Burkhardt?
Yeah, I think you got to take your time with this one. That's what a lot of us anticipated they were going to do, because they could afford to, understanding what is on the line this year. It's not like they're a championship contender, and they know that they're building, which is like the same reason that Sean talks about point guards and this and that's the same reason I've argued there's no need to go out and hit the market to go get a point guard right now for a short-term fix for a few weeks or whatever. Things will work themselves out, but no, I think a lot of people thought December, myself thought December was a timeline that would start hearing some more info, but I can't wait for him to get back, because like I said earlier, and I told you on the phone the other day, everyone said this was going to be a big year for Scoot, and you are seeing how much you miss him, even without him improving or not. You are missing him. They need him desperately.
I do think there's something they could do as far as a short-term fix at point guard. They, with those 3 two-way spots that they have filled, Sidy Sissoko's in the rotation. He's playing. Caleb Love, clearly they put in. Javante Cook hasn't really played. He might have played garbage time in one of those early games, but he hasn't really done it. Like, that feels like one of those two-way spots. I don't know off the top of my head who's out there that you could sign to a two-way as a point guard that can be kind of plug and play right now. But I feel like one of those 3 two-way spots you could use to bring somebody in just to.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, Sean. It's just more of the, like, okay, who's a free agent, who's a vet that they could go get. Like, none of that stuff where you have to, okay, you're going to have to cut someone to make that, like, all that. None of that makes sense for the team in the long term. But if there is a point guard out there available for a two-way deal, absolutely, I think there's value in that.
And it's pretty flexible in terms of two-way deals. You can cut one guy and sign another guy to a two-way. That's easy to do.
And that stuff doesn't count against the salary cap at all. So
hey, I mentioned this when they signed Damian Lillard, but what's Tim Frazier up to? Get the Chronicles back here in Portland.
Sure. I think he has more than 4 years of NBA experience, though. So he's not eligible for a two-way. But
that's not a bad idea, though. There's got to be someone out there that you can come in and can handle the rock a little bit. Because the other problem, too, even when Drew Holiday's playing, like these guys between Holiday and Avdia, they end up getting exhausted and fatigued with the basketball because they're handling it constantly. It's a different game when you're out there with the rock in your hands the whole game.
And that's, I think, to Chris's point earlier about the defense slipping from where it was early in the season. These guys have to do so much. The Blazers' depth is so limited that these guys have to do so much that they get tired. And I don't think this defensive slippage, except for that they just did not play well in the Houston game. You can throw that one out. That one's kind of an outlier. But the rest of these games, I don't think they are playing less hard on defense or trying less on defense or like ignoring that end of the floor. I just think how aggressive they were and how much they were just like pressing everything the first few games of the season. I just think physically that's not super sustainable for an 82-game season.
Yeah. And you saw it, and I know Chad loves watching them, but like Oklahoma City, right? What makes them so good, and you could tell when they were here that Portland's trying to be built in that same mold of bringing that pressure. But what makes Oklahoma City so good over the years is they went from that young team who we knew was going to just play crazy defense to being smart with how they played defense. It's not all gas all the time. It's the difference between, okay, this is when we're full bore, this is when we're off the brakes a little bit, and this is when we're going to lay off. Like, they are smart with how they play, and it
allows them to pace themselves for 48 minutes rather than running out of gas by the time the fourth quarter hits. And that's where this team, I think, will learn in the long run as the season progresses.
Yeah, and it's much easier to play at that breakneck pace with that type of intensity when you have Matisse Thybulle and you have Scoot and you got Drew and you've got Blake Wesley. You've got your entire complement of guys.
Yeah, and the other thing about Oklahoma City is, I mean, obviously at the top end they're more talented than any other team in the league, arguably. But they have like 1 through. Let's say, I mean, I guess Nikola Topic is out, and then Sorber, their draft pick this year, is out. But let's say 1 through 13 on their roster is just guys that can play. And that's why they're able to play the way that they play, is because
there's no throwaway guys.
If guys get tired, there are so many guys like this dude AJ Mitchell, who was like buried at the end of the bench last year, and would probably start on a bunch of teams, and now he's just like oh, this is another guy that the Thunder just happen to have. They have they're 1 through they don't have a player on the roster that you wouldn't feel comfortable putting in one of these games.
And Mitchell looks great.
Yeah.
I saw him play. I'm like, who the hell is AJ Mitchell, and why is he balling out of his mind right now?
And then you've got the other guys like Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, like all these other guys that were kind of the complementary case in Wallace, like these other guys. But they build a roster that has no weak links, and that's kind of what you have to do if you want to play this way.
But overall, for the Blazers sitting here, 13 games in, 6-7, there's no shame in that.
We've been saying since the schedule came out and we saw how tough it was early with all these West teams. If they were 500 by Christmas, they were in great shape.
Yeah.
And they're right. I mean, they're 1 game below 500, but they're right in that range right now. So,
What do you feel about the next 2 games? How tough is this back-to-back for Portland right now based on where they're at roster-wise?
Any back-to-back is going to be tough, but these are both going to be – these teams are not going to be walkover teams, Phoenix or Chicago, and especially if they don't have a point guard. I'm going to predict – I don't know which one it will be which, but I think they win 1 and lose 1 on this little mini homestand.
Okay. I like Josh Giddey, too. I like watching him play.
He's been good. That second half of the season last year when he went off, you kind of started to think, I don't know if this is real or this is just kind of one of those fake things where most of the teams that they were playing kind of stopped trying. It's kind of a similar thing, honestly, to Denny, where Denny had that incredible second half of the season, and you could people thought he was talented, but it was like, oh, this is so far above what he was doing before that is this real, or are they just playing a bunch of teams that is it kind of a mirage? And then the way the season starts for both of these guys, it's like no, it's real.
I think that's a great comparison. I think Giddey and Denny are similar from the standpoint that they both do multiple things on the floor well.
Bigger guys that can handle the ball.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Shoot a little bit, score, set up your teammates. And I thought it was cool that Denny, after that air ball that he put up at the end of the Dallas game, like that was not ideal, but he was totally accountable after the game. That's exactly how I would expect Denny to handle a difficult situation, and no one's going to be harder on himself than Denny. And it drives him crazy that he did not make the appropriate play to put his team in a spot where they could have won the game.
You'd rather he figure that out now in early or mid-November
good point.
If they're in like a play-in situation, and if they lose the game, then they are out of then they're not in the playoffs, and it comes down to their shot, and he does something like you'd rather him having figured that out now than in April or May.
All right, tomorrow we got the toy drive going on here at Moda Center. Bring a new unopened toy with you, and we'll have a crew out there as you're in line getting into the arena. To collect the toys. It's going to benefit Randall Children's Hospital for the kids who are going to be in the hospital during Christmas time. Sean Highkin's going to bring a toy, so we're going to be all dialed in with that. So bring your new, doesn't matter how much you spend, just bring your new unopened toy, and we'll get it from you when you're in line. Anything else that's hot on your mind as we get ready for the home back-to-back?
Not really. This is a pretty tough end of the month for the Blazers. And, again, if they can get through this month at or around 500, I think they're in okay shape.
So when does it end? So the brutal part of the schedule, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's through the rest of the month, right?
Well, through the rest of the month for sure, because it's Phoenix tonight, Chicago tomorrow, Golden State Friday, and then Oklahoma City. And then now Milwaukee is a little bit interesting because they just announced today that Giannis is out for 1 to 2 weeks for groin strain, so he's probably not going to play in that game. So they're going to get Milwaukee without Giannis, so that's a little bit of a break. They come home on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. They get San Antonio, who is not going to have Wemby, not going to have Steph Castle, not going to have Dylan Harper, so that's going to be a bit of a shorthanded team. They're missing most of their guys, so that's a little bit of a break that they get. And then at the end of the month, who was the team that they play the last day of the month on November 30th? Oklahoma City again.
Oklahoma City.
Oh, one play I wanted to ask you about that for a youngster for New Orleans that I really thought played well. Derek Queen looked good.
Yeah, he's good. He's a guy that I think because of that trade that they made to trade up for him, a lot of people kind of put that on him. Like it was him that asked them to give up an unprotected Bucks future pick, whatever, to pick swap, whatever, to get him. But no, he looked good.
What games were you at on the road trip?
New Orleans, Houston, Dallas. I skipped the 2 Florida games.
How crappy is Smoothie King Center?
It's bad.
It was. I have not seen an NBA arena that empty since. Like it was like at most a third full, and the upper bowl was pretty much completely empty. This was like not that there's really much of a reason to go to New Orleans to Smoothie King Center to watch one of these games, but that's just it was tough.
I'll say this, though. Sean might be the only person I've ever seen who can go to the best food city in the NBA, New Orleans, then hit 2 towns full of Texas barbecue and not put out a pound when he comes back home.
Well, the reason for that is I didn't really get to go out and eat, explore any of that stuff because, this type of travel is like, just to let you behind the curtain a little bit. It's like it's a game day and then it's a travel day and then it's a game day and then it's a travel day.
Gosh.
So it's like by the time Chris has done it before. Chris knows what's up. So, like, you, as much as you think, oh, I get to go to all these places with all this cool stuff, it's like by the time you get off the plane and you get to your hotel, you're just like, I'm going to go take a nap.
Exactly. It's nap time, man.
Yeah.
I've never been to New Orleans, man. How cool is the city?
It's awesome. I mean, I've been there. I didn't really get to do much this time there, but I was there 10, 12 years ago, whatever year it was that they had the NBA All-Star game. I had a good time. A lot of good food down there.
You like it down there, don't you?
The food's so
and
good.
the food is money.
The food is so good.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, Sean Highkin, Rose Garden Report, you got to read him. And the reason why you want to support Sean Highkin at rosegardenreport.com is because he is the best providing local coverage of the Trailblazers. And the more you support him, the more that he can continue to go on road trips and be able to provide the best coverage possible. Thank you for coming by, my friend. Enjoy the 8 o'clock tip tonight.
Yeah, I don't know
Thanks,
about
NBC.
that. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that, NBC. All right, Sean Highkin, we'll come back. More with Chris Burkhardt, who's got game day coming up at 6 o'clock here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, Chris Burkhardt is with me. He's got Blazer Game Day coming up here at 6 o'clock. But, yeah, Chris, that's the beauty of having a bunch of old friends that you play golf with. I hit up one of my guys, Glenn, last night, and I'm like, hey, have you ever had a spot removed from your face? I said, this is what they said it was, basal cell carcinoma. He's like, oh, that's not a problem at all. Yeah, they just go in there and whack it off, and you're good to go. Okay, thanks. I appreciate that.
No big deal.
But the doctor, the dermatologist told me this guy, I forgot his name. He's got some type of sweet name. And I guess he's like a badass. That's what the doctor told me. He's done like 40,000 of these procedures, so he's really good at cutting out the stuff and then not leaving a mark.
Okay.
And that's really what I don't want is like some type of big scar, but I guess it's pretty simple, so there you go.
No one wants any of that. That's terrible.
All right. Oh, there you go. You got access now. Hit listener interaction.
Okay.
And hit received over there on the side. Chris is getting dialed in on the Rip City Radio text line.
Oh, look at that.
There you go. And then every time they won't auto-populate, so you got to hit received or refresh.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, the first one I see is how late is the fifth quarter going? Midnight? Shout out to the YouTube gang. Fifth quarter, we might be, I think we're going to rebrand to the first quarter. Should we go over midnight or the zero quarter? Because if this game goes into overtime, I might cry.
All right, so the best way to interact, it's easy. 88528, the Rip City Radio text line. That is how you go. And by the way, can you give just a little bit of love to Bo Nix and my Denver Broncos for that phenomenal victory over the Chiefs on Sunday? I was a little bit happy about that.
Yeah, like I have to work hard to give anybody love for a victory over the Chiefs. Come on. It's always nice.
Dude, like think about what the favor that the Broncos did for all those fans around the NFL that are tired of seeing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
It is a thing of beauty. It's the whole NFL was pretty crazy this weekend. The Niners did their thing. Seahawks lost on that.
How about the Niners? What they're continuing to do with just a decimated roster.
I think this might be, honestly, I think this
his best coaching job.
I think it's Shanahan's best coaching year.
And what about Robert Saleh? Trying to be assistant of the year.
Bro, I told you that as soon as it happened, how hyped I was to get him back. The defense hadn't looked as good since he left. And to do this with no Bosa, no Warner, I mean, come on.
All right, I don't know if you've heard this yet, but I want to play it for you because it's one of my favorite all-time quotes now. So you saw over the weekend Jalen Ramsey and Jamar Chase got into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then come to find out Jamar Chase spit on Jalen Ramsey. He's now been suspended for a game. Take a listen to this. Oh, I don't have the cord plugged in. Never mind.
Oh, no.
Anyways, Mike Tomlin said, because the reporter was like, Jalen kind of gets in these little mix-up once in a while. Like, did you try? What'd you tell him in that moment to kind of, walk away or what? And he goes, I don't have a message for someone to get spit in the face. Do what comes natural.
I like that.
Isn't that great?
That's how it is.
It's like, no, if someone spits in your face, feel free to kick his ass.
Yeah, and also like Jamar Chase, like come on, like what are we doing here? Your go-to. It's a football game. You guys are getting paid to play a child's game. Never forget that. What are we doing spitting on
King's
people?
ransom to play a kid's game.
And what are we doing spitting on people? Come on now.
No, that's one of the lessons like my dad taught me when I was little. Like, you don't spit on people, Chad. We don't do that. That and tattling and don't disrespect mom. Those were the things that could set my dad off, right?
Yeah.
You don't do it.
I do like this one from the text line. I feel like that could be turned into something, but show me your Broncos. I just want you to walk up to a stranger and have them show me your Broncos.
Show me your Bronco. It works for the Blazers or the Broncos. That was an awesome win. Gosh, and Bo Nix out-dueling Patrick Mahomes.
Bo Nix is good. Bo Nix is good. He's ready-made for the NFL. It's good to see him going. It's good to see guys like Troy Franklin finding their way. I mean, they're finally for Denver. I mean, they're finally putting it together. If Sean Payton can just get off the white and stop getting in the way of some referees, you'll be good to go.
Dude, that guy slammed into him. And then on top of that, so you get plowed by the ref and you get the flag for being in the whited area. I've never seen a flag thrown for that.
Yeah. Sometimes officials are crazy. Did you see the one in the Utah Jazz game the other day where they called the time, or not a timeout, but dead ball, guy hits the floor, there's sweat on the floor, the ball boys come out to wipe up the sweat, and the ref gave him a delay of game for wiping the sweat off? What are we doing?
It's so dumb. The Jazz coach was about to lose his mind.
Oh, there's a mic'd up out there that we cannot play on radio, but it is beautiful. And as everyone was saying, they knew the call was so crazy that he could get away with just about anything, and he did. He got his money's worth.
All right, did you see the fan getting into it with Draymond Green?
Yeah.
So Clay Travis got into a DM exchange with him, And this is what he had to say. He goes, I meant no disrespect to women's basketball or Angel Reese. This guy was calling Draymond Angel Reese because he missed a bunch of layups and was grabbing the rebounds. I was only trying to get in Draymond's head because he's an a-hole. Clearly it worked. Draymond told me to suck his D in the first quarter. I never used any explicitives or profane language. I've been kicked out of several NBA games for heckling players, but never had one come up to me in my face. A 14-year-old veteran who is the heartbeat of the Warriors is not only a tough guy, he's soft. As a fan, I believe every right to heckle as long as it's respectful. Like I said, I didn't curse, talk about his kids, wives, or baby mamas, etc.
I love it. I love it.
There you go. All right, Chris Burkhart's got game day coming up next, and then tip-off tonight with the Suns and Blazers here from Moda Center at 8. And tomorrow, 7 o'clock tip against the Bulls. You guys enjoy the game. Enjoy game day with Chris Burkhart. It's coming up next on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.